Okay, guys, good morning. We'll start with our new unit that is immunomodulator. In this immunomodulator, this is a common term, okay, which is will be called for this immuno like suppressant and immunostimulant, as we have studied earlier regarding in that chemotherapy one. So we have differentiate with between the chemotherapy and immunotherapy and all those things. So this is generally this immunomodulator is a common term for immunostimulant and immunosuppressant. So before we'll go into the this unit, so I just want to give you a little revision about the our last chapter, that is about the acute, chronic, and subacute toxicity. So we have studied in that acute, subacute, and chronic study. What is their rationale, and why we need to perform this kind of toxicity study whenever we have derived any new synthesis or new molecule or new herbal extract, any kind of polyherbal formulation, and why we are going for that particular study, and what is the outcome and what we can conclude from this particular toxicity study, and why we can't go directly for the clinical trial and all those things. So in that we have in this study we have understand about the whole concept, which type of animal species we require, what kind of gender, what is the body weight, and what are the different guidelines will follow for the various route of drug administration for acute toxicity. You have various guidelines which has been developed by the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So we have studied about this thing, and also we have seen the what are the different parameter we will assess in the acute toxicity study, subacute, and chronic toxicity study. In all these three study, there will be a different time duration, what is the observation period. Like for acute toxicity, initially we'll observe for the 2 hours for the various development of symptom or anything, and for the 48 hours or 2 days study will identify the LD50, lethal dose in 50% population. Similarly, we have seen the subacute toxicity study, which will perform for 28 days. We need to identify the what is the potentiate hazardous property of that particular compound, and at the end of we will perform various biochemical parameters, like serum and plasma parameter, or at the end of necroscopy, if animal have been motile in between of the study. After that, if nothing will be like that, then at the end of we will perform the histopathology. So all this we have seen in the this subacute and toxicity study. And chronic study, the same parameter will be there, but the duration of study would be for 90 days. So all this we have seen in that toxicity study. Now we'll start with the immunomodulator. So generally immunomodulator, if you want to define, so how you will define? See, its definition is immunomodulators are medication which used to help in the regulation or normalize the immune system. So as you know, like the present situation, if you consider a present pandemic, so what is the main thing which people are doing to safeguard from the COVID-19? One thing will be that if we are going outside, so we are putting mask, gloves, and sanitizing our hand and all those things. But apart from that, we are enhancing our immunity, so which can have the some benefit in the protecting from this COVID-19 disease. Okay, so these are the generally we are going to increase the our or enhancing the immunity. See, like if we consider some of the example, like if you consider one of the example, like human immunodeficiency, why HIV, right? So in that what will happen, like a person will have the very weakened immune system. So what will happen in that person may develop some of the comorbid disease like tuberculosis. So like if you identify many of patient with HIV, so if you consider one of the probability or significant, like more than 50% of the HIV patient will develop the tuberculosis. So why? Because they are going to have the weakened immune system. And person like without any of this severe deficiency or any kind of disease, any person who having the weakened immune system, or like they are very susceptible to the any foreign particle, antigen or anything, so they may have that like you have that one of the common thing like you can call like cold and all those things, like people who having the regular cold or regular allergy or something will be there, okay, fever will come anytime, so might be because they're having the weakened immune system. So how you will identify that whether person having the weakened immune system or not? See, there are many like many biological things will be there into your body, so which will enhance. Sometime if it will be in a appropriate, so they will enhance or appropriate your immune system. If something goes wrong, like if it is a lace or anything which cannot resist to the foreign particle, okay, so that time you may have that any kind of deficiency disease, like you may have the frequent cold, you may have that fever, all those things will be somehow simultaneously, and you may feeling the weakness, all those things. So these are the certain just example which can you can have that in the mindset, how like this thing will be affecting your body if you have the weakened immunity or you have the less immunity. See, nowadays, like many things are available to enhance the immunity. See, now people are giving like taking some homemade remedies, some of the vitamin B 12, vitamin C, and many of the preparation, and many of time like when child will be there, so it will be immunized with the various vaccines. I hope that everyone know, like when child will be, so there is a different months child has been given the different vaccination, like for BCG, typhoid, cholera, all those things, and different vaccine will be given. So why they are giving the this particular vaccine? What is the see? If you have that mindset, like okay, that child does not have any kind of disease, then why they are giving? Because they are increasing his immunity to protect against this threat in the future. Like you have that hepatitis B vaccine also, which will be given not even the child, when adult, okay, or some adults, and which will having the weakened immunity, so they are more prone for the certain kind of infection which can harm the vital organ. So all these things you need to keep in the mind that this immunomodulator, okay, it will be having the immune stimulant, all those things, and which will be very important for your body. Either you can naturally having the good immune, or if you are very susceptible to the immunity, so or you have the weakened immunity, so you may take certain medication which are available to improve or increase your immunity. So this is what we are discussing, immunomodulators. See, immunomodulators are the medication which used to help or regulate or normalize the immune system. uh, if some of the example, if you include one class of immunomodulator which is used as an add-on therapy to treat asthma, and another which treats hereditary angioedema. So these are the just set of example, like you can give as an add-on therapy with some of the drug which are prescribed for some other disease, so which will be enhancing the your your immunity. So now we'll see the next slide. See what is the content we have here. See, first of all, introduction about immunomodulatory. Then, as you know, like you have that various type of immunity. Like you have active, passive, cell mediated, antibody mediated immunity. So these are the just general introductory part which will help you to understand the further thing like immunosuppressant and immunostimulant. So we'll discuss one by one each and everything. So now we'll start with the first thing, that is introduction about this. See, anything that cause an immune response is called an antigen. So what is this antigen? Is anybody can define what is antigen?
Sir, foreign particles.
Foreign particle. Okay, or any kind of toxin or other foreign substance which will induce an immune response in the body, especially the production of antibodies, right? So right, as you know, like nowadays, if you see, any person who treated with the COVID-19, so they will develop the some of the antibodies. So therefore, people or many of the government, state government asking to people to donate the plasma, which can help in the treatment of another COVID-19 patient, which will be as an therapy or treatment for the this. So they will help to fight against this antigen. So any disease causing antigens are called pathogen. So pathogen means the antigen which will be responsible for any kind of inducing any disease into body. And the immune system begins to develop in the embryo. So this is what we have discussed initially. See, whenever the child, okay, in the fetus and all those things, so that time only it will be having the enhancing is, or it has been starting or developing the immunity. Once the child has birth, and so afterwards what will happen, you have to give some of the exogenously some of the immuno drug which will enhance or protect from that particular child from the future threat, like from the any kind of disease like BCG, hepatitis, all those things, like till up to the 5 years age, polio drop will be given. So all which will be helpful in the protecting from this foreign particle, that is disease causing antigen. And this immune system start with the hematopoietic stem cells. So what is this hematopoietic stem cells? Huh? What is this hematopoietic stem cells
Sir, which creates RBCs.
which create RBCs?
Yes.
Okay. Which will give rise to the other blood cells. Okay, so this is the common process which is called as hematopoiesis, and this process occur in the red bone marrow in the core of most of bones. In embryonic development, the red bone marrow is derived from the layer of the embryo called the mesoderm. Okay, so this is what hemopoietic stem cells. So this like you understand about this. So immune system, like here when we say that it has begun to develop in the embryo, so how it will be developing into the embryo with the help of hemopoietic stem cell, which will give rise to the other blood cell in the bone marrow. So we'll come across with the some of the terminology, so which will be helpful to you in the like understanding. See what this term will be there for. See, immunology. So it is the branch of science that deals with the response of the body when challenged by antigen. So challenged by antigen, like any of disease induced pathogen or antigen, which will when like foreign substance or toxic substance, if you come across with that any kind of foreign particle which will be harmful, if in your body having the enough immunity, so it will resist that antigen, and it will protect from you that particular antigen. So this is called as immunology. Immunity or resistance is the ability to ward off the disease or damage through our defense. So it again you depend upon your body immunities, how much you are your body is enough to protect from this any kind of foreign substance. Susceptibility, so vulnerability or lack of resistance. So this is what susceptibility. Then what is immunogenicity? Immunogenicity is the ability to provoke an immune response by stimulating the production of specific antibodies, proliferation of specific T cell, or both. So it will immunogenicity nothing but which will help have ability to provoke an immune response. So which will help in the provoking the immune response by stimulating the production of specific T cell or antibodies, and sometimes both will regulate, which will help in the provoking an immune response. So these are the terms. So you need to understand the difference between the each and every terminology. See, if you are saying immunology, so you have into your mind that immunology nothing but it is a branch of science which deals with the response of the body when challenged by antigen. And if you are saying that immunity or resistance, that time you have in the mind that it is the ability of your body. Okay, it is the ability of your body to ward off or way off the disease throughout your body defenses. So which will help in the damaging to your body. And then if you are telling about the susceptibility in respect of this immunomodulator, then you have that you have lack of resistance from this antigen. And what is immunogenicity? It is the ability of your body to provoke an immune response by stimulating the production of specific antibodies and proliferation of specific T cell, and sometimes by both. Then you have that reactivity. So reactivity, it is the ability of the antigen to react specifically with the antibodies or cell which it is going to provoke. So reactivity, so reaction, simple. So how this reactivity is taking place? When your antigen having the ability to react specifically with the particular antibodies. And antigen, any substance that eliciates an immune response. Okay, eliciate an immune, like any foreign particle or any toxic substance. And this term antigen derives from its function as an antibody generator. So you need to understand the term antigen derives from its function as an antibody generator. And substance with both immunogenicity and reactivity are considered complete antigen. If someone will tell you what is the immunogenicity or reactivity, so you have one thing into your mind that they are the considered as a complete antigen. Okay, you should have that particular into your mind. Then what are the antibody? See, the substance that specifically combine with the antigenic determinants on the antigen. So if you want to define this antibody, see, if you consider the current situation, so if someone will say, okay, if any person got the treated with the COVID-19, so they may have that particular antibody into into that body, and they may now in future they are less prone for this. It is, I'm saying the less prone. It doesn't mean that any person who has been already treated with the COVID-19 they will not get infection further, so they can roam without mask, and like they can gather in the crowd. All these things should not be there. They can develop again the COVID-19, but specifically they are the one who has already been developed the antibody from the after the treatment. So you can also call as this antibody, they are also known as immunoglobulin, and is a large Y-shaped protein which produced mainly by plasma cells that is used by the immune system to neutralize pathogens such as pathogenic bacteria and viruses. This is what I was telling you guys. Okay, once any person who has been treated with any kind of deficiency, so they will have the development of antibody which will help in the future to protect from that particular disease, which can be induced by any kind of bacteria or viruses. But it doesn't mean that you can freely roam or anywhere. Like if you have that kind of mindset, okay, I'll be treated with this, I have enough antibody, nothing will happen. So this is a wrong myth. So you have to take care, but there is a chance that your body have the development of that antibody which can help from this particular bacteria or viruses. So these are the some of the terminology. See, you have seen the immunology, immunity, susceptibility, immunogenicity, reactivity, antigen, and antibody. So these are the some different terminology you need to remember. See, what are the types of immunity? So you have that specifically two types: innate immunity, which are also known as non-specific or natural immunity. The second one is known as adaptive immunity or specific or acquired immunity. So you need to understand their common name also. It is not like that if innate immunity, so you remember innate. Sometimes they will ask like what is the non-specific immunity or natural immunity, or sometimes they will ask in case of adaptive they can ask you specific or acquired immunity. So you have to remember all this name. Then adaptive is also again two types: cell mediated immunity, and second one is antibody mediated immunity, or also known as humoral immunity. So first we understand the what is the difference between these two, innate or adaptive. So see, first of all, like the immune system is typically divided into two categories, which we have seen: innate and adaptive. Although these distinctions are not mutually exclusive, so these are not distinctly mutually exclusive, but there are certain difference between these two. So we understand the difference between these two, innate and adaptive. See, innate immunity, it will refers to a non-specific defense mechanism. So therefore we have here mention is another name is non-specific. Okay, so this is referred to a non-specific defense mechanism that come into play immediately or within hour of an antigen appearance in the body. Okay, so this will play a key role when any foreign particle which enter into your body, and your body will respond immediately within hour from that particular antigen. And this mechanism includes physical barrier. You can take such example like skin, chemicals in the blood, and immune system cells that attack foreign cells in the body. And the innate immune response is activated by chemical properties of antigen. So this innate immunity, first of all, it will like having the effect, or it will be response when some certain chemical which will be present into antigen, so it will be having the specificity to the particular antigen chemical properties which will immediate activate this innate immunity. So this will be having the effect that they will activate, and they will immediately within hours of antigen appearance in the body. So how this will be play a key role? See, if you like some of the mechanical property, like there are various physical barrier into your body. So can you tell certain example what are the physical barrier into your body? Anyone? What are the physical barrier into your body?
Skin and mucus, sir.
Skin, mucous membrane. Then see, these are the certain example of that like physical barrier. So which will help enough your body to protect from the certain foreign particle or pathogen. Now we'll see the second one. Just difference. We are making difference between the innate and adaptive. So what is the second one? Adaptive immunity. Adaptive immunity, it refers to antigen specific immune response. Antigen specific immune response. See, if you have that particular foreign particle which will induce cold into your so what will happen if any kind of that, like if you take the example of rhinovirus. So rhinovirus, like you have the certain 200 type of subspecies of that rhinovirus. So that if any kind of foreign particle like rhinovirus has been entered, if your like body having that particular immunity, so what will happen, they will produce the specific immune response against that rhinovirus. So rhinovirus nothing but they will generally induce into your body like flu, cold, and this kind of symptom. If you have that, so that your body will respond to that rhinovirus. So this is what it means. The adaptive immunity refers to antigen specific immune response. The adaptive immune response is more complex than the innate. See, we have seen the innate one, that it is a non-specific defense mechanism, or so whenever like it again depend upon the chemical property of antigen. But here what will happen in adaptive, the antigen will be responded by the specific immune response. So therefore it can be having the more complex than the innate. See, the antigen first must be processed and recognized. Once an antigen has been recognized, the adaptive immune system create an army of immune cells specifically designed to attack the antigen. So therefore it can be a complex thing. How it will be complex, so you understand, like in innate, it depend upon the chemical property of antigen. If chemical property of antigen will be identified, they will have that response to that particular antigen. But here what will happen in adaptive, they need to identify the first antigen, then depending upon the antigen, your adaptive immune system will create an army of immune cell which will be specifically designed to attack that particular antigen. And adaptive immunity also includes the memory that make future response against a specific antigen more efficiently. So here this is the one of the advantage over the innate immunity, that this will also create a kind of memory. So what will happen if in future, like if you take again the example of that rhinovirus, if rhinovirus once any person got infected, so they may have cold, but your body will develop some of the immune response against that rhinovirus. In future what will happen, your body is too, or this particular immunity is too sharp, that they will create a memory in the future. If you are again infecting with this kind of rhinovirus, so your body will already, they will remember, okay, this happened earlier, so which kind of immune response it will be required to target this particular infection. So this is what the main difference between the adaptive and adaptive and this second type of innate immunity. See, here you can see the first few example how this physical barrier will have the immune protection against the your foreign particles. See, in innate immunity, you can see first line of defense, that is skin and mucous membrane. So these are the some of the physical factors like epidermis of skin. So this epidermis of skin, it will form a physical barrier to the entrance of microbes. So like you have that four layer of the skin. So here what will happen, that epidermis will there itself, it will create a physical barrier for like to protect against the foreign particles. So they will not allow, okay, any kind of microbe to enter further into the body. Then you have the second one, mucous membrane. So this mucous membrane will inhibit the entrance of many microbes, but not as effective as intact skin. So this mucous membrane can be a helpful in a certain type of microbe, but not like having too much effect as like the epidermis of skin. Then third one, you have that mucus. So it will trap the microbes in respiratory and GI tract. So there it is going to trap, as you know the trap meaning. So this will trap there itself, and then hairs. So it will filter out microbes and dust in nose. So as you understand, like what is the importance of hair in the nose, or like in the ear, some people will have the hair in the ear. So this will help in the filter out or any kind of dust or any kind of microbes which will be entering into your nose. So it will protect from this kind of infection, and they will filter out. Then you have that cilia. So what will together with this mucus, they trap and remove microbes and dust from upper respiratory tract. So here in that you can understand the difference. See here mucus will trap microbes in respiratory and GI tract, but here cilia along with this mucus, they will trap and remove microbes in and dust from the only upper respiratory tract, whereas in the mucus whole respiratory and GI tract. So these are the some of the first line of defense which involve the skin and mucous membrane. These are the some of the physical factor like epidermis of skin, mucous membrane, mucus, hair, and cilia. So epidermis of skin will form a physical barrier to the entrance of the microbes. So they will not allow microbes to enter itself. So there only they are eliciting this kind of microbes. And then mucous membrane, which will inhibit the entrance of many microbes but not as effective as the intact skin. And then mucus, which will help and like trap the microbes in the respiratory and GI tract. And hair, like filter out microbes and dust in nose and cilia. So together with mucus, they will trap and remove microbes and dust from the upper respiratory tract. Then you have that physical defense. So earlier we have seen the physical factor. Now you can see physical defenses. See lacrimal apparatus. So their tears dilute and wash away irritating substance and microbes. So you can see that tears will be also helpful in the removing the irritating substance from the eyes. Then saliva washes microbes from surface of teeth and mucous membrane of mouth. Urine washes microbe from urethra, and defecation and vomiting which will expel microbe from body. But here I just want to tell you one thing, that if vomiting which will be here for the expel of that microbe from the body, so you have to make sure that vomiting should not have that like you can say like it will be not like too much vomiting. If generally one or two vomiting which will be elicit this kind of microbe response or expel that microbe from the body, fine. But if that particular thing is if it's continue repeating, like like many of times you have that kind of what you call food poisoning. So in food poisoning what will happen, you may having the starting of that vomiting and diarrhea. So if this particular thing will be or your body having the enough kind of immunity which will be sustained from that kind of bacteria, like as you know, like the many of the bacteria which will be responsible like H. pylori and all those things. So if your body is having the enough immunity to resist that particular bacteria, then fine. But if not, if you have that continued vomiting and defecation or diarrhea, so that time again you need to take exogenously some precaution like homemade therapy like oral rehydration salt. All those things should be available, because what will happen if certain like how food poisoning could lead to a severe threat. Like I'll just tell you here. See, if you have that any kind of food poisoning from that exogenously bacteria, if your body is not too like having immune and your body is too weakened, so you have the continuous vomiting and diarrhea. So first of all there will be a electrolyte imbalance, you have the dehydration thing, you have complete loss of minerals, all those things. So you what will happen if that complete loss is going to be happen, so toxic material will accumulate into your body. So the toxic material, you can take certain example like creatinine, urea, uric acid. All these things will having the increasing into your body if this electrolyte imbalance will be or dehydration will be there. So what will happen if this, as you guys know, if you have studied into your first year medicinal biochemistry like creatinine, urea and uric acid level. So this will going to affect you into your kidney. So it may lead to the acute renal failure or primary nephritis. All those things it may lead to this kind of certain severe threats. So therefore, that is what like you have to be like very careful from this particular kind of bacteria. All those things. If like this is what I just want to tell you here little bit. So here you have that physical defense. So lacrimal apparatus with the tears which will dilute and wash away irritating substance and microbe. Then you have saliva, which will be wash microbes from surface of teeth and mucous membrane of mouth. Then urine, which will wash microbe from urethra, and defecation and vomiting, which will expel microbe from body. And then you have that. We'll take into the next class tomorrow. So generally, we have studied now what are the meaning of immunomodulator. So and what is the its introduction? See, any kind of antigen like called which cause an immune response, they are called as antigen. Disease causing antigen are called pathogen. Immune system begins to develop in the embryo, and this start with the hematopoietic stem cell. And we have come across with the different terminology like immunology and immunity, specificity, all those things. And types of immunity, we have understand the difference between the innate immunity and adaptive immunity. And adaptive again two types, cell mediated and